Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome today to my review of the latest release by Pagani Design. And you know what? It might, just might, be an original design. Or at least mostly original. Pagani are known for making one-for-one copies of expensive Swiss watches, but this one could be different. Stay tuned. Now, original is obviously the word of the month here at Joma Mansions. I had a right pop at C-Stand for putting the word original on the dial of a one-for-one copy of a Nomos last weekend. And you know what? They must have watched the video. They posted this on Instagram. They are changing the dial printing for future models. Perhaps mine will be worth millions in years to come. Perhaps not. Anyway, back to the Pagani. As is typical with the brand, you're not paying a lot of money. The thumbnail was not an exaggeration. You should be able to pick up one of these for $75 and a rummage down the back of the couch. That's the price I paid for mine when I bought it last month. I'll leave a link in the description of this video to the store where I bought it from. So, cheap? Yes. Original? Maybe. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. Alright, so what is it and is it original? As you can see, I've gone to great lengths today to blur out the watch to keep it a mystery to this point. But if you've had a good look at the thumbnail, at least you know it's a chronograph, the signature pushers either side of the crown on the right hand side of the case. Now, call me pessimistic, call me cynical, you can call me both of those things if you want to. I prefer Pagani's chronographs. Your money's spread very, very thin regardless of what model. This one, for example, $75 and some change. Not having a rotating bezel is one less thing to go wrong. To be honest, some of their rotating bezels on their divers haven't been all that fantastic. So, it's a chrono, but it contains the real reason that we buy Pagani design watches. It's for the free NATO strap. Yeah. Does anyone actually use these? To be honest, this one isn't as bad as some of the others, but yeah, I've never used them myself. This is the reason I buy Paganis. They're blue polishing cloths. I love them. They're all over my house. And what model have I chosen today? This one. They call this the 1782, and I think it looks fantastic. Late 60s, early 70s style, almost a helmet chronograph. Not obviously Fotina, despite the kind of retro looks. I think this one looks fantastic, especially for $75, but is it original? What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the basics, the dimensions, specifications. I'll show you some attractive outdoor macro of the dial and hands because it does look rather good under a macro lens. And then I'm going to do that bit where I pop the Pagani to one side and then I show you various other watches here. You tell me whether this one is original or not thereafter. So then the vital statistics, 39mm in diameter with a thickness of 12.8 and a lug to lug of 45.8. Pretty nice so far. Standard 20mm lug width. There's a taper down to 18 at the butterfly clasp. Sized up for me and I had to remove 2 full links and a half link. Pagani, civilized, have given us 2 half links here so that we all get a good fit despite the butterfly clasp. Sized up to fit my 7-inch wrist, 129 grams. They have also given us a screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistance, and a lovely piece of double domed sapphire crystal. Now this is clearly a chronograph, clearly a quartz chronograph. It is a Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz chronograph. The VK63 is a 3 register, obviously, ticking small second at the 6 o'clock, 60-minute chrono timer at the 9 o'clock, and the useless 24-hour sub-dial at the 3 o'clock, but at least the dial does look balanced. The case back is standard Pagani fair screw-on stainless steel, advertising the fact that the watch is stainless steel and has 100 meters of water resistance. And there you go, the model name etched into the center. Thankfully, because this isn't one of their Speedy lookalikes, it doesn't have that patronizing child's drawing of a moon rocket on the back. I'll take this one every time, thanks very much. Case finish is surprisingly nice. There's a fine brushing on the mid case, that's okay, but there's a circular brush to the upper lug surfaces, and really, if you're going to have this helmet style case, that is the type of brushing you should have on your upper lug surfaces. I think that brushing combined with that cracking piece of glass really kind of those two in combination really make the watch. High polish fixed bezel. You have a signed Pagani crown and two unsigned pushers. It's the kind of broad style pushers, but they don't hinge, they just push straight in. Now the bracelet, 3-link, we've got those oval links with a high polished side. Bracelet finishes, ooh, you can see there, it is a little bit rough, but then again, given the price you're paying, it's not awful, and no attempt to match the bracelet with the finish of the watch itself. Butterfly clasp is okay. It's quite stiff on this particular one, and it goes in and out both directions. You can pop in either side first. Ooh, definitely a little bit stiff, but probably better to have it stiff out the box than loose, because it will loosen up over time. All right, let's have a look at some more of that macro footage. Let's have a look at the dial and hands. This does not look like a cheap watch, and I think that crystal has a big part to play. Just the right amount of flecto, a little bit, but not too much when it is outside. And I think I went for the right color version as well. There are another couple available, I'll show you them later, but I went for this panda style. White dial, black hands, black sub registers. Not pure white though, not photina'd as discussed, but perhaps they've just turned that down a little bit. It's a kind of off cream color, just as a bit of a nod to the 60s, 70s, where this watch design originated. Black hands though provide plenty of contrast against the dial. The sub-dials, two of them, have little orange hands. Again, a nice touch there. Everything just printed on today, the Pagani design shield and brand name underneath it. Batons are just printed on. There is some lume, not too much lume though, so don't get your hopes up. There's a tachymeter scale printed in white on a black chapter ring, and we have 1/5 of a minute markers and minute markers printed all the way around the outer edge. Now the numerals on the 3 sub-registers aren't huge, but because they're in contrasting colours, they are actually quite legible and quite usable therefore. And if I zoom in even further, Paganis sometimes look a little bit rough under this level of magnification. It doesn't look too bad. There's a slight texture to the dial itself, help breaking it up a touch, concentric circles to those 2 sub-registers. You shouldn't expect a miracle for this price, but it looks pretty good. And that's it on wrist, and it looks really good on wrist as well. I think that's a great size. 39, 12.8mm thick though, so it does have a bit of chunk to it. I know some people avoid watches that are sub 40. This one has definitely got a bit more meat than, say, a SEA-GULL 1963, for example, that is just 1mm smaller than it. I think 20mm lug width, obviously a good choice to help balance out the watch. Now, I went for the bracelet. I would always go for the bracelet option, but that doesn't mean to say that I don't think this one would also look good on a leather strap. And indeed, it does look good on a leather strap. This one I had lying around the house, I thought the tone just picks up the orange, those 2 sub-registers and the tip of the central chronograph hand. Very, very nice indeed. So yeah, definitely an option to go for this one on the bracelet if you've got plenty of these straps in the house, but you should also consider going for it on a leather strap in the first place. Indeed, here are the 6 different versions offered by Pagani. Well, 3 different versions, either on a bracelet or a leather strap. Blue, black, or the white panda style one that I went for. I still think I got the pick of the bunch, and I've got plenty of 20s in the house if I want to swap the bracelet out. So a lot to like then, and not a lot to dislike. But I haven't shown you the Lume video yet, have I? And that's because Pagani's Lume is universally crap. It is dreadful. I don't think I've seen a Pagani yet that has half decent Lume, and this one is no different. It looks pretty poor initially, but when I turn the speed up, within 5 minutes, it's gone. It has left the building. It no longer exists because it's crap. Well, with that now firmly established, let's establish whether or not this is an original Pagani or not. I did say it was a helmet style chrono. Let's compare it to the original helmet style chrono. The Seiko Darth helmet, no less, the 6139710. What do you think? No, not really. Again, you've got a kind of similar overall look, but the bezel's quite different, the case is quite different, the pushers are quite different. What about a couple of contemporary comparisons? Zodiac Grand Rally, again going for that 70s retro reissue look. Again, not identical. There are some similarities. Probably the bezel and case are closest to this Zodiac than any of the watches I'm going to show you, but the pusher layout's quite different, and that one features applied indices. The dial looks quite different as well. What about the Tissot 1973? Yes, maybe Pagani have had a good look at the Tissot when they were designing this PD1782. Certainly the hands, the sub-registers, the chosen colour is right, but the pushers are quite different and the case is quite different as well. Maybe if you smoosh together the Tissot and the Zodiac, you would get something akin to the Pagani. So where then does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with a fantastic looking 70s style chronograph with a great case and a lovely piece of sapphire crystal on the top. Perhaps not deserving of the word original printed on the dial, but perhaps finally deserving of the word design printed on the dial. They may not have designed all of it, but it actually looks like for the first time in a long time they have designed some of it. So there you have it. Do we reckon this one deserves to be called an original design? I reckon it's maybe 70% Tissot 1973, 30% general 70s style helmet chronograph. So at least then they're moving in the right direction. Perhaps one day we will see a Pagani design with some design involved. They are always great value though. If you want to see another couple of my favourites, click here or here. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. I'll see you again in the next one.